Welcome to Creature Creator, a show where I help you recreate your favorite stories and characters at your gaming tables. Starting today, in honor of your love for my Five Nights at Freddy's videos, I'm going to be hosting a Fazbear Summer here on Creature Creator, where I will exclusively be focusing on creating guides for the remaining titles in the Five Nights series, beginning with Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. Originally intended to cap off the story that Scott Cawthon began back in 2014, Pizzeria Simulator put power in the players' hands like never before, where, for the first time, they could curate and design their own Fazbear restaurants, musical lineups, and evening shifts of their nightmares.
Lefty! What the f*** are you doing here? Get out of my pizzeria!
Yet beneath its quirky game modes actually lies a pretty decent business simulator. And it's my hope to take a cue from this style of game design to help show you what is easily the rarest of game activities. Here on Creature Creator. Hello there, superstars! I am your friendly businessman Flintworth, and I've been looking forward to this episode. You see, out of all the tasks, duties, responsibilities DMs have to go and handle while prepping for their campaigns, designing bases, fortresses, dungeons have always been one of my favorite pastimes. So naturally, I get excited when my players get the chance to design and build their own establishments in my campaign. And I can't wait to share with you all my insight and advice, show you how to do the same in your games. And yes, I will also be offering my suggestions on how to devise encounters tackling the latest animatronics introduced in Pizza Sim. So if you'd rather just hear about that, skip ahead to this time marker. Otherwise, let's get down to business, my fellow builders. To begin with, we need to figure out what game function we are looking to fulfill by allowing our players to build. Do they need a home base for the duration of your game? Is it to serve as a side venture for your party to sink extra funds into? Or is it to function as a trap similar to the one players build in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator? You never want to have a game activity, no matter how big or small, to be a waste of the group's time. Hence the importance of giving your party a really solid reason to care from the get-go. And you really can't go wrong with challenging them to establish the one thing almost every adventuring party needs: a home base. Even horror games are not the exception to this rule. Mainstays like Resident Evil or Amnesia are riddled with their fair share of sanctuaries where players can duck into to catch their breath, restock their gear, or tend to any allies they come across. It is for these same reasons that I think your party of animatronic hunters should get invested with the construction of their own HQ. Plus, as an added bonus to you, this will also ensure your party will regularly come back to the same location again and again, meaning you will have a good idea of their exact travel routes each session, making it that much easier for you to plan and set up any traps or ambushes that your devious little hearts may desire. If said plans also include the party's enemies possibly breaking into your base, I would highly encourage that you give your players ample amount of time to beef up their defenses beforehand, whether that be through hiring a security force or building fortifications. Additionally, don't get caught up in an arms race with your players. Any breach of their defenses should only come from a war of attrition or neglect, never from you bringing in a tougher, bigger battering ram. Besides, making it so your players need to be mindful of their homes' upkeep and resources is a great way to motivate them to leave their hidey holes, to change things up a little from the typical bot hunts or clue gathering missions that I've spoken about in my other FNAF videos. What if my game is going to take place in one large location, you may ask? Or won't it be really possible for the party to construct anything for themselves? To which I would answer that your best course of action is to go the full Pizzeria Simulator route and make your location a business establishment, where your players' chances to confront any of your game's mysteries at night will be solely dependent on their efforts to run a successful franchise during the day. I mean, there's no reason to reinvent a perfectly good gameplay loop, am I right? I should stress that I more than understand that planning out and managing a business or base isn't exactly for everyone, regardless if you're a player or game master. So don't fret at all about any measures you may take to streamline this part of your game. By all means, please go and use pre-made maps, dungeon tile sets, or miniatures. I've purchased and used my fair share of these campaign aids in the past as well, especially if I knew it meant helping my players get back to the parts of my game I knew they really enjoyed, like roleplay or combat. Besides, it's not like using pre-produced material is going to make your game second rate, right? You are all there to mainly have fun, not to create an award-winning piece of art. I mean, it'd be cool if you did, but having a good time should still be your main focus. If your table really ends up being that averse to building anything, you can resolve the matter by just having a NPC auto-build it for them. After all, why should the party busy themselves with all the small details of running their base of operations if they have the resources or workforce to do it for them? You know, just like a real-world business owner. On the flip side, if your table happens to be filled with the kind of people that will adore the task of mapping out their headquarters themselves, you'd be correct to assume that there isn't too much you have to do to help them along, other than perhaps supplying them with a blank grid map and plenty of time to go draw things out. No matter how involved your players get though, you can help things along by really encouraging your players to never get caught up ensuring they have all the things they might need, but to rather instead focus on how they intend to use their creation to further their goals. Take Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator, for example. On the surface, it really is a tried and true restaurant management sim. Players get to decide on what games they put out, what animatronics to show, decorations to display. It works. Narratively though, it is all for the ultimate goal of luring the series' various big bads into a trap. Hence the whole game's premise to build a successful, popular Fazbear Pizzeria. All the fun games, decor, and animatronics are just a means to an end. As long as you make it to the final night, the game couldn't care less if you never swapped out your Mr. Hugs for a Mr. Hippo. Once the party has figured out and addressed all their immediate needs, then their planning can be shifted to what building materials they need to grab or what additional non-essential rooms they want to work on. Also, do your table a favor and don't have them roleplay out any of the construction. Using a montage will suffice enough for the scene, and it will also ensure your game time is saved for more important things, like confronting the legions of new bots that Pizzeria Simulator brings to the table. No joke, this game is overloaded with fresh faces for your GM war chest, as we are now joined by Mr. Hugs, Healthy, Rockstar Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Fluffy, Kenny Cadet, Bucket Bob, Mr. Can-Do, Ned Bear, Pig Patch, Happy Frog, Orville Elephant, Scrap Baby, Golden Freddy, Music's Man, Funtime Chica, Mr. Ho, Pan Stan the Security Puppet, Number 1 Crate, The Juice Fountain Clowns, Prize King, Egg Baby, L-Chip, and the Big Bad himself, William Afton, in his new grudgy Scrapchat form, for a grand total of 29 new bots! For simplicity's sake, rather than talking about each animatronic individually, I'm going to be breaking down this terrifying menagerie into separate groups instead, to which I naturally made 5e stat blocks for in case any dungeon masters wanted to bring them to their 5e tables. Check the description for the download link. At the bottom of the robot pecking order, we have the trash animatronics. These works of art may not be able to always move, attack, or even really entertain, but what they lack in mostly everything, these bits of rubbish make up for the ease to make them. Why, in a half hour, a single animatronic could make a handful of these, what can be loosely described as bots, to fulfill any and all of their meat shield needs. Put simply, they can function as the Goombas of your animatronic army. Next in line are the bots that can be best described as the knockoff animatronics. You know, the real clunkers that would be found collecting dust in some bargain bin. Because in a world filled with murder bots, no one said they all had to be winners. Just below my stock animatronics and stats, these cheaply made bad boys are prepared for any scenario inside a grungy, rundown joint, where the threat of tetanus lurks around every rusted corner. When from the shadows, the knockoffs will slowly emerge, swinging their car batteries like flails as they awkwardly shake and jerk their way towards your heroes. In fewer numbers, these kind of bots probably would be much of a challenge. However, if you boost their numbers by say 10, 20 or more, then they'll be about as deadly as a horde of zombies, making them the ideal stand-in for any Night of the Living Dead side plot you want to spice up your FNAF campaign with. To be fair, not every animatronic is out to take a bite out of the party, at least not initially. Many of our newcomers may actually be more than happy to work for the players under the right circumstances. These auxiliary animatronics, as I call them, would make the ideal candidates for the faceless NPCs of your games, where they could fill the roles you would normally give to random villagers, like a bartender, innkeeper, or a shopkeeper. There's nothing stopping you if you want to use these bots to fight with your villains as well. Just know that a strong breeze could take them down. Alright, enough stalling. Let's get to the leading acts here. Originally, I was was gonna lump the Rockstar animatronics in with some other bots from another video. That is until I decided to take some inspiration from their namesake to devise my rocker animatronics. These musicians will act like the bards for your robo loadouts, where through the power of the rock, they will provide buffs to their allies while blowing the minds off their enemies.
Sorry.
These rockers are just the tip of the iceberg though, as Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator brings back not one, not two, but 3 of the franchise's big-time villains. Yes, heavy hitters like Circus Baby, Innard, and Springtrap all return grittier and as dangerous as ever in the new forms of Scrap Baby, Golden Freddy, and Scrap Trap respectively. To honor their homecoming, I've gone and updated the sheets I originally made to represent this terrible trio, giving them new abilities, stronger stats, and a few other surprises that will surely make them deadlier than ever. There is no doubt in my mind that these new epic versions of my bots should give everything you need to run the most brutal of finales. GMs running systems other than D&D would be wise to do the same with any returning antagonists, not just because you want to up the challenge for your players, but also to really emulate how much more experienced these villains are now. But there is one last brand of animatronic to still look at, and I could totally see them quickly becoming one of your most valuable new monsters, namely in the world building department. My longtime viewers will know that I like to champion the importance of making the most of your game's lore and themes, which understandably can be hard for some GMs to do, especially if your table doesn't like to explore or investigate your world, leaving you with very little choice but to rely on tedious exposition drops. However, there is still hope for even the most single-minded, action-heavy of games. It's just a matter of mixing your mythos in with the design of your monsters and challenges. It doesn't take a whole lot of finesse to accomplish this either. For example, Scott namely manages it through the many Easter eggs in his games, like the Springtrap cameo in the Fruity Maze arcade game, or the eerie stories Candy Cadet can tell. Sure, neither of these moments are essential to understanding Scott's story. However, it cannot be denied encountering them does wonders to drawing players into the mysterious world of this franchise. And in Pizzeria Simulator, the greatest of these reveals is the one hidden inside our last animatronic, Lefty. Like his namesake, this wonky-eyed bear seemingly comes out of left field to join the other franchise's heavy hitters. Almost annoyingly so when you consider the other possible monstrosities that could have taken their place. It's not until the game's true ending do we learn that Lefty is far from the oddball poser they appear to be, as it is revealed to us that housed within inside the bear is none other than the puppet from FNAF 2, the very same one which gave life to the original Fazbear animatronics responsible for most of the franchise's events. Having an enemy that functions basically like a Trojan horse can be such a pinata of fun for everyone. On top of providing your players with a brand new foe to tussle with, it also provides you the chance to have a surprise waiting inside, whether that be treasure, a forgotten foe, or what have you. Bottom line, you couldn't ask for a more natural way to drop in some juicy lore than with a character like Lefty, which is how I came to be inspired to design the last stat block for this video, the Hoarder animatronic. These tricky boys are styled for whenever you want to pull the wool over your player's eyes. They are big enough to conceal whomever or whatever you want and should be able to hold their own if their cargo is incapacitated. Furthermore, as an added bonus, I've given them a few abilities to make them function like an exoskeleton for other animatronics, just in the off chance you want to pull a Tony Stark and give your bots an upgrade in the middle of a fight. I can only imagine the chaos that will unfold once all these new robotic monstrosities go toe-to-toe with your players, especially if you intend to use them at the tail end of your campaign, which is all the reason why I think you should allow your players a chance to build up some fortifications. Just picture how memorable it would be that after countless sessions of your players doing everything to elude and fend off your animatronics, that their last stand would not be in yet another random Fazbear Pizzeria, but on their home turf, where the action can quickly shift from a drawn-out siege into a tense game of cat and mouse inside the halls of their headquarters, where almost poetically, things have come down to your heroes being trapped in a single room with naught but the traps and fortifications they built as their only weapons against the robot horde. In my opinion, you can ask for a finer encounter to end a campaign on. Though, who's to say that your story really needs to be over, right? One game master's ending may be another's beginning to a whole new story arc. After all, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator was far from being the ending that Scott intended. So why should your games be any different? Stay tuned, folks. Our Fazbear Summer together has only just begun. Next time on Creature Creator.
Hey, boss? Yeah, this is Jim, over in Q&A. Yeah, I wanted to let you know that we were testing the new game last night, and Jeremy has found something? We don't know what it is exactly. A glitch, maybe? It's really freaking us out, man, and... What? No. The Halloween DLC should be fine. But, boss, I'm telling you, this glitch, it's bad news, man. We may need to hire some extra help in on this one.
Hey, thank you so much for watching here today. I had a blast working on this video. It was really cool to finally have miniatures that looked like the bots from the games. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm looking more forward to starting Help Wanted, if for no other reason than to finally sink my teeth into the Halloween-themed bots from the DLC. While working on that, in the meantime, you should totally join Jade and I during our Haunted Hangout streams on Thursdays, as I drag you through some of the finest horror video games. And I actually really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions on future Creature Creators, please let me know. I'm always looking for new, fresh ideas, because, hey, the Fazbear Summer is not going to last forever. Lastly, if you haven't already, consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell so you don't miss anything else I turn out. If you don't, no worries. You're still awesome either way. Take care.